r/Askreddit by Reddit and chill. What is a weird obscure item you own that you think most people don't know exists? What is it used for? I have what looks like an oval brass pill box. But when you open it there is a chain inside that is connected to the bottom part. The chain is about 18 inches long and has a hook on the end. It was made for a woman to pull up the zipper on the back of her dress after she put the dress on. The hook on the end of the chain goes in the hole on the zipper tab. And then you pull the chain to pull the zipper up. We need a modern version of this. A random glass egg that's now our family heirloom. No story behind it other than my dad stole it when he was 14. Depending on how old your dad is. Maybe it's one of the missing Fabergé eggs. A Vectrex. A very rare home console from the early 80s that used vector instead of raster graphics, i.e. lines instead of pixels. The system had to come with its own TV screen in order to be able to display its graphics correctly. It was actually a pretty good system but was expensive for its time and had the misfortune to release right before the great video game market crash of the early 80s, so very few people bought one. But it remains a compelling little curio in the history of gaming. Oh my god. I've been trying to figure out the name of this for years. We had one growing up. And my dad gave it away when I was in college. Thank you. A 1971 mine detector that the US made for Germany military. Comes with a German manual and everything. Although, I'm not German. I still have it. Lol. I'm German. Maybe I can translate it. My mom gave me a small box which has been passed down from her grandmother. It's a small metallic box from 1920s. It has an eyeshadow box, a lipstick tube, cigarette holder and has a music box built in it. Yes. All in one compact metal box. Mom and I were watching TV one day and one of those antique programs was on. Someone brought a box very similar to ours but had other things in it in different color. The host said there's only 20 in the world of these boxes and they are in different colors and had different things in it. It wasn't that valuable unfortunately. But the uniqueness and rarity is what it makes it so cool. I can't wait to pass it on to my kids in the future. Edit. I checked and it's from 1930s. Not 1920s. Edit. Just took pictures and video. Metal box. Music box in the metal box. This strikes me as somewhat odd. Considering there are perverts out in the world that collect used underwear. Or the recent nutcase that paid $120k for a banana duct taped to a wall. I'd think that a rare 1 in 20 box, each unique and a novelty, would be worth quite a bit. But maybe that's just me. I got a bread toaster from the 1800s. I got it from my grandfather. It can be used on top of the gas stove or over an open fire. Sounds cool. Do you mind showing us what it looks like? An earshell Solbruch still in Versace. Acker an eggshell predetermined breaking point causer. Got to love the German language. YouTube.com link. The fact that it works on a sliding weight rather than just hitting it with a small mallet or scoring round the shell with a carbide tool somehow seems even more German. We need to crack this egg with a precise impulse of energy and we'll develop a precise tool to do just that. My fellow stitchers will know what's up. Needle minders. It's a magnet that you use while you're stitching. When you're done stitching or if you're changing out the color of your thread etc. You drop your needle on the minder and it keeps it in place. Bonus use, if I lose a needle I just scan the vicinity with the needle minder and it usually finds it. I like to start stomping on the floor and slapping my hands on the desk until it finds me. I still have my pet rock Herman from 6th grade. He doesn't do a thing. No one knows I have him. Well now all of Reddit, or at least this sub, knows about Herman. A computer component named the Physics Processing Unit. Before Nvidia bought it, you had to buy a separate card for, now Nvidia's, PhysX system. The card was a C card and it aided the CPU in physics processing. Some games even had levels that were unplayable without one, or extra features that use the card. I have one of these cards. But I don't use it because old tech and new tech don't mix well. That reminds me of my tech adventures in the 1900s. I helped a friend install a math coprocessor that turned his 286 into a 386. This was a big ducking deal at the time. Edit bad info from old brain. See comments below for accurate tech details. Thanks all. I have a stamp holder. It's a frog on a tree stump and you pull the stamps out of the frog's mouth like a tongue. You wrap the stamps around this center mechanism inside of the stump and hold it in place with a little metal clasp. Most people just keep the stamps on the flat piece of paper they peel off of. I use my frog. I've got a digital camera that shoots pictures directly to floppy disks. Sony FD Mavica. My dad got one of those from his company for taking pictures in stores. Also got one of the mini CD based ones they came out with later. That thing was a trip. Last print £1,984 one note. My gran ran a post office for many years and she has 10 consecutive serial number £1 notes that are unused. No sure if they were the dead last printing. But she kept them because she knew they were going to be stopped soon. It's kinda neat. She also has some German money from around the war with hyperinflation. Only printed on one side. A large dime. Seriously, it's like 3.5 inches diameter and 1 stroke 4 inch thick. I use it for making big decisions. Is it Uncle Scrooge's number 1 dime from DuckTales? My son unfortunately destroyed it and it is now in tatters. But I had a scroll with one of the earliest versions of the St. George and the Dragon on it. It was a highly valuable item. I also have a monocle that belonged to my great-grandfather. An original scroll? Might want to consider destroying the sun too. I have the vintage tuna harpoon tip. I think those are called dongs. I chopped a foot and a half of my hair off and just put it in my empty bathroom drawer. Doesn't have a use except remind me I did an oopsie. Edit. I have both my ducking feet okay. Mayo read too quickly and thought you chopped off one of your feet and half your hair off. And put them in the drawer. It's not really obscure or weird in and of itself. But the magnitude of it makes it a bit weird. I have a collection of several thousand fortune cookie fortunes. I don't use them for anything. Though I have thought it'd be cool to wallpaper a room with them. Only about 300 of them are in any sort of order or curated nicely. The rest are just in my basement in a big oil drum that my wife found on the cheap. Folks who find out I have so many always ask what my favorite ones are. I have to. 142.7% of all statistics are made up on the spot. 2 You're a good person and I like number 1 for obvious reasons. Number 2 is cool because of the typo and the fact that cutting off as it does. It raises so many questions about what happened to the dude who was typing it. Did he suddenly die? Mid-fortune? Did he get attacked by ninjas? Did he have a rom-com revelation that he was wasting his life making a fortune writing fortunes? And then just flip the table and go rushing off to stop his one true love from marrying the wrong man? I'll never know. And that makes it all the more fun. 2 You're a good person and I wish I could say I have the rest of this fortune. But the cut off fortune I have is just relationships. Yes. Just one word. With the period. The other fortune I've kept around just says you are not illiterate. Which is completely accurate. Though not much of a fortune. A gold. Fake. Obviously. Can of Mountain Dew with Yoda's face on it that was part of promotion for the Phantom Menace. It is still sealed. I had an unopened can of Pepsi Blue for years. As well as a huge collection of the labels from the bottles. They peeled off incredibly easily. Lost it all when tweakers burned down my mom's storage shed. Though. God, I miss Pepsi Blue so much. I have a mini Hatsune Miku concert box thingy. It's just a cardboard box that you can fold a certain way. Then you open a link to a YouTube video that was provided when you bought the item and then you just put the smartphone playing the video on top of the box and it creates an optical illusion that makes it look like you've got a miniature Hatsune Miku hologram perform a concert inside the box. Here's what it looks like. Link. And here's a YouTube video showing it off, not my video. Link. I've a friend who find the Hatsune Miku hologram concerts creepy as duck. But she loves the Gorillaz concerts. I have yet to hear a satisfactory answer to what the difference is for her. It would be too much to say that most people don't know it exists, but I still think it's actually a weird item to exist. The little thing that cuts hard-boiled eggs into slices. Those are awesome. I used mine to slice strawberries for decorating cakes. Perfectly even, beautiful slices, perfect for layering. I've got the full official Linux operating system fuse with the PS2. But why? A spell book. It is a book that contains, well, spells, some rituals, incantations, some plant formulas, etc. Username checks out. A very old yet crazy sharp ritual dagger. It looks like something out of a video game almost, but the construction is solid. I've never seen something so masterfully built and honed in my life. PIIX. There's two things in my house that people always stare at or ask about. The first is a pro winder. A tuning peg winder with integrated cable cutters and string pin remover. Used on instruments like a guitar to quickly wind new strings around the tuning pegs and cut them. Looks like a weird kitchen utensil. The second is a guitar string crown that I made. It's a big ring made of my old guitar strings all woven into each other. Kind like Jesus horn crown except with guitar strings. Looks pretty cool because guitar strings have colorful shiny balls at the end. Here's a pic. Edit. Added pictures. It's not really that obscure, but I own a snake with no teeth that only eats quail eggs. She's a bit weird, but I like her. I snuck up on her squishing the first one. Upvoting, a great question. I don't have it anymore because I gave it to an aunt who loves antiques. But at one point I had an 1800 0-button hook used to close the buttons on boots in that era, instead of shoelaces. They were closed with buttons. I know of at least one company that sells those as well as button hooks. They look dope as duck. Sold it. But I did have a bike out of a whale's penis. What? A first gen iPod Nano running Linux. Because why not? iPod Linux org link. I was happy to find that. Why? Is the first question in the frequently asked questions. I have something called a head puller, which sounds like either a sex toy or a torture device. But it's just a very specialized hook for removing and replacing the heads of bull-jointed dolls. A very specialized hook for removing and replacing the heads of bull-jointed dolls. Still sounds like a torture device. A Curta. It's the worldwide only portable fully mechanical calculator. It's amazing. I am an avid dumpster diver. Take my truck through rich neighborhoods on trash night and grab things from curbs. Anyway, I found a $50 bill in Zimbabwe money. Because of their hyperinflation problem. That $50 Zimbabwe is worth about 14 American cents. Lol. A $2 bill. I almost got in trouble at a store because I had fake money. It got cleared up once the manager was called by the employee and pretty much told the employee that they are a dumbass. Yep. I managed a C store for 10 years. This occurs at least 10 times a week. Usually it's the same dumbass employee. People always comment on my penguiner, which is a penguin shaped pitcher that is used to aerate and pour wine. A meteorite I saw coming down and hit the ground when I was hitchhiking in Spain in th90s. I had a bad day where nobody let me drive with them and was somewhere in the middle of absolutely nothing and just slept there in my sleeping bag. When suddenly this enormous noise woke me up. It came down a few hundred meters away and I waited till next morning to get it out of its hole. It's hidden in my living room and the one thing I would rescue if my house burned down. I own a ball, slightly larger than a golf ball, of pure zinc. It has no true functional purpose. But I hold it when I drive. Why while driving? I have a small red velvet bag that contains a brass weight and chain. It's used to measure the official height of a tennis net. I have no idea why or how I came to have it. But there it is. My wife and I received in the mail 2 years ago a 50th anniversary ornament meant for Barbara and Tom. We are not Barbara and Tom. So, we reached out to Amazon to have it delivered to the right folks. Amazon told us they'd rather just deliver Barbara and Tom a new ornament and they weren't going to pick it up from us. So, we kept it and we now have it on our Christmas tree and have done so for a couple of years. No one notices it. We do a cheers for Barbara and Tom each year. Barbara and Tom. Since you've been married for over 50 years, you may not use Reddit. If you do, Congrats on your anniversary. We're pulling for you. Old dried out corn cob back scratcher. Not sure how popular they are outside of Indiana, but these scratchers are better than your grandma's nails. I've always seen these labeled as redneck toilet paper. Glad to hear it's actually a back scratcher. Ducking like and subscribe.